A submission is that all man of God, all pastors, all reverend fathers minus none is a criminal. Even if you, young Baba, become a pastor today, you are a criminal. Christianity creates immunity for evildoers. When Jesus Christ came and says, I came to provide salvation for sinners, what he does not come is not to stop sin. He came to provide an umbrella that shields sinners from judgment. There is nothing like God in the form of a personality. Christianity destroys the unity of a people and creates division among them. So Bible is an improper packaged lie, sustained with fear. I told you, when you hear God, God means government of the day. When you hear heaven, heaven simply means all Western countries, Europe, America, England, Belgium. When you hear earth, earth simply means Africa. When you hear men, men simply means men of Africa. Bible is a true colonialist book. Everything written in Bible is a true word of the predator to the prey. A man can by faith believe that acid is now water, and he will now carry the acid and begin to spray on people. So faith is a potent weapon of terror. I'm going to give you maybe just 16 important points why I left Christianity. If you pick Bible from the beginning to end, you discover this is the culture of the West, which live on exploiting other human beings. Bible is just a manual of colonization, a book a man wrote and believed that this is how I'm going to oppress my colonizers, and then making the colonizers, giving the colonizers consolation to accept death. To live is Christ and to die is gain. This culture makes the people to accept death as a benefit of serving Christ. You can see him talking in Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5. He says, if your enemy is hungry, give him food. He was just creating a pathway by which you will love your own enemy. But the man went back to his land and built a bomb. You think he built the bomb to play? You are joking. The day he will touch any of his own people, he'll come back and he will demolish everybody in your village. So God don't give husband. Men saturate and make themselves available for it. Somebody is now testifying in the church that I have a husband and others don't have a husband. Somebody came to testify in the church that I entered the car. He says accident happened. 5 died. Only 1 survived. He said this is the grace of God. People in the church shout power. Somebody come and testify. He says I buy a car. I came from a family where everybody doesn't even have a car at all. But the goodness of the Lord has been faithful to me. Somebody says power. The question becomes, when you have a car and your brothers don't have a car, your brothers is going to poison you. When the people is denied food, the people cannot know morality. Survival will always override morality. Like I told you, there are things that are not option. There are things that are the basic need of life. And so the basic need of life need requisite, urgent, meticulous attention to fix it. So when you come in Enugu, you see a massive number of youths who doesn't have a job. And then when people don't have a job, you cannot actually come and teach them morality. When the Westerners live their normal life, automatically their fight for survival is a direct extermination of life to people in black. And when the black race take their normal culture is direct attack and direct threat of life to the survival of the West. And nature actually designed this way because life and death is intertwined. And what every species fights to is to preserve their culture, because their culture is the only thing that will sustain their survival.
You were a Christian. Tell us about your Christian background.
Oh. I grew up as a Methodist, and that's why most times if you watch my videos, you discover anytime I'm singing, I sing hymn book. And so when you look at the Christianity, you discover Christianity is actually, like you hear Christians speaking and they tell you that Christianity is not just a religion, that Christianity is a lifestyle. They are not wrong. Christianity is a lifestyle. A lifestyle is people's way of life. We know that people's way of life is their culture. So if Christianity is actually a culture, the next thing it becomes, culture is made up of three features. Number 1, a people. Number 2, a place. Number 3, a body of knowledge. And so if Christianity is a culture made up of a people, the first question becomes, which people, which culture of which people? Number 2, which place is the culture established? And number 3, what is the body of language corresponding with the people practicing it? And so if you pick Bible from the beginning to end, you discover this is the culture of the West, which live on exploiting other human beings. And so when Bible is just a manual of colonization, a book a man wrote and believed that this is how I'm going to oppress my colonizers, and then making the colonizers, giving the colonizers consolation to accept death. So when you open the Bible, you begin to see Psalm 2 verse 8. The Bible began to speak. It says, ask of me, and I will give you nations as your inheritance. Ask of me, I will give you nations as your inheritance. Somebody in England have opened that part of the Bible, and when God says, ask of me as an inheritance, the man remembered Nigeria. He have asked God, and God has given him Nigeria as an inheritance. A Britain man opened that Bible, ask of me, and I will give you nations as your inheritance. God has given him Ghana as his inheritance. A man of Belgium has opened that Psalm 2 verse 8. Ask of me, and I will give you nations as your inheritance. The man remember Congo. So it's a culture of forceful ownership of land. And when God have promised you to give you nations as your inheritance, the first question you should be asking is, the nation he's giving you, is it not the land of people? Is it not human being living there? It is the culture of forceful colonizing and exploiting of people's race. And so when the man is going, the man carries the Bible as the word of the colonialist to his colony, to give the colony, to make the colony feel relaxation in being exploited and manipulated. And so I am of the organic resolution to reinstitute people our own culture. Because if you watch the technology, if you come in the physics of the universe, you discover man is the apex of the food chain. And the reason why man is at the apex of the food chain is because man does not only hunt, man breeds. Like the lion who just want to eat other animals. But man want to eat and want to reproduce. And then we begin to study the technology towards which man used to reproduce every animal. If a man want to reproduce any animal, the first thing he does, like he will first reproduce his culture. Because no animal can exist outside the culture. When a man want to reproduce a fish, the first thing he does is that he begin to create a pool of water. And not just the water, he will saturate the water to correspond with the water that will survive the life of a fish. If a man wants to rear a goat, the first thing he does is that he creates a culture of a land full of grasses, so the goats can eat. When a man wants to rear a cow, he creates a culture of grasses. When a man wants to rear anything you want to rear, if you want to rear monkey, you make up trees. Any animal you want to rear, the first thing you do that you will reproduce is culture, because any species taken outside this culture is death. Any species taken outside its own way of life is extermination. And so you discover when a human being want to fight the existence of animal, human being fight mosquito by altering the nature of the culture of mosquito. A mosquito exists in a swampy area, in a dirty environment. And so when you are fumigating this area, the first thing you are doing is that you are creating an environment, a culture that is against the sustainability of a mosquito. So you're not even fighting the mosquito one-on-one. You are only fighting it by altering its culture. So when we are talking about reviving culture, we're talking about a man fighting your culture is fighting against your own ways of life. And I'm going to give you maybe just 16 important points why I left Christianity. I just 16. And that 16 will be very, I'll be taking them from even scriptures. Number one, when the colonialists left nations to colonize nations, they wrote Bible, which we correlate with their own selfish interest and then serve the purpose of exploiting their colony. And so you now see the vexing Christianity does in a people when the colonialists give them, that it anesthetizes the people and creates docility. Anesthesia means making people unconscious. Like a doctor wants to operate on somebody, the first thing he does is that he throws anesthesia on the patient. So when the patient loses consciousness, you can take any organ you want to take from the body and he will not even know. So when a Christianity enters your land, the first thing he does is it anesthetizes the people. To anesthetize the people is to make them defenseless, to make them no longer react to weapons of attack against their life. And so you discover when the Bible is writing, all that is writing is to make the people to be unconscious and defenseless. You see in Romans chapter 12 verse 19, he was speaking, he says, avenge not, vengeance is of God. That means this culture is actually treating people, telling people that I know I am coming to manipulate you. I'm coming to beat you. I'm coming to enslave you with gun, but avenge not. Leave vengeance for God. Vengeance it belongs to God and only God. So it's a culture of deliberately making people. He was speaking, he says, if a man slap you on your right cheek, he says, turn your left. So it anesthetizes the people, makes the people to think that accepting pain is a proof of our humility of service. And so somebody comes and kill your father. The person says you should find your mother and give the person. If a man slap on your right or your right cheek, give him your left. Somebody came and rape your sister. The person says you should find the junior sister or your wife. If a man slap you on your right, turn the left cheek so the person to give you another slap. And so you discover this culture, what it does is that it makes the people defenseless. And so when things that are supposed to make the people to react, to defend themselves, it makes the people to accept death as the God's will or God's agenda for them. And this is very terrible, because when a society accepts death, they are headed on a project of annihilation, extermination. So you can see him speaking in Philippians. He says, to live is Christ and to die is gain. Which means that this culture makes the people to accept death as a benefit of serving Christ. If you enter in the book of 2 Samuel chapter 15, you will see where God is giving Saul an assignment. He says, Saul, go to Amalek.
Yes.
Kill off all the men. Kill
Yes.
off all the women. Kill off all the children. Kill off all the oxen. He says, and preserve the virgin girls for yourself. So it was an assignment or a project that goes to people's land, wipe off the people's land. The other things you are telling to the people does not matter. As long as the people, you came to the people to exploit their resources, whether by fighting, whether by negotiation. Once we came with this culture, the first thing it will do that it will wipe off everybody.